you gotta do is read a book. Open up the cover and take a look.
Good morning. My name is Rudy Bryan. I work for Periton, which has a contract with Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL. We operate and maintain the Deep Space Network, but it basically means we communicate with the deep space satellites out there. And that's kind of the book I chose for this reading today. I chose one that says, If You Decide to Go to the Moon by Faith McNulty. So I'll get started on that right now. If you decide to go to the moon in your own rocket ship, read this book before you start. It will tell you how to get there and what to do after you land. The most important part tells you how to get home. Check the things you will need: spacesuit, air tanks, books, and games. Don't forget your diary and plenty of food. Peanut butter, apples, and cake will taste good in space. Water and juice are also important. To get to the moon, you will travel about 240,000 miles, a long trip. But rockets go so fast, if you average 3,750 miles per hour, you will get there in 2.5 days. Get aboard, close the hatch, light the burners. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. You shoot up into the sky. As your ship rises through the cloud, your body presses against the seat. At first you feel heavy. Don't worry, this feeling will go away. For a few seconds, you fly through a mixture of clouds and air and dust that hang over Earth. It is not very thick, only about 15 miles. You will shoot right through it into space. Space is dark and empty. There is no air in space, no clouds, no rain, only rocks called meteoroids, and some chunks of ice called comets. Both meteors and comets are pieces of stars that exploded long ago and have been flying around in space ever since. If you hit one, it would be very bad. But space is so big and you are so small that a collision is unlikely. In the blackness of space, the stars shine like million fireflies. The sun blasts with fairy light, and the moon, the mysterious moon, glows like the pearl in the black, black sky. Of course, you know that the moon has no light of its own. It glows in the light of the sun. Up here in space, you may feel very alone. You look back at the Earth. It would make you even lonelier. This is the time to play some cheerful music, eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, keep your eyes fixed on the shiny moon, and settle down for a long ride. Relax. Take off your seatbelt and be prepared for a surprise. Because you are weightless in space, you will feel amazingly light. You'll float like a feather inside the cabin and bounce off the cabin walls. But you'll bounce very lightly and find it a lot of fun. When you get thirsty, don't try to pour orange juice into a glass. With everything weightless, if you collect into floating, it would collect into floating liquid balls and become orange juice blob. You can drink out of a squeeze bottle instead. After supper and a squeeze of juice, it's time for bed. Tie yourself to your bunk so you won't float away, and settle down for a good night's sleep. Of course, there is no night in space. You have to pretend. Try Try to have sweet dreams, thinking about where you came from, probably Earth. When you wake up, you'll be much closer to the moon. It'll be big and round and very bright, with dark patches that look like seas. They were made billions of years ago, when the moon was very hot, hot enough to melt snow. Now and then, melted snow spurts up through the crust and spread out of the surface like spilled soup. When it cooled, it hardened into stone called lava. From Earth, these smooth, dark places look like oceans. Playing cards will help you pass the time, but if you drop them, they will drift around the cabin like butterflies. Floating around to catch them feels like swimming in a dream. The first humans to go to the moon landed on the Sea of Tranquility. It is marked on your moon map and would be a good place to land. But you still have a long way to go. When you are tired, lie down and look at all the stars. On Earth, you only see the stars that are above you. Up here, there are stars in every direction. You might write in your diary, I wonder how far space goes and where it ends. It's a very good question. At last, when you have read all your books and played all your games, you wake up from a nap and see the moon right there below you. You look down on the endless desert. Everything is all one color, silvery gray. The ground is covered with rocks and round craters. Craters are holes made by meteors that have rained down on the moon through the ages. Some are huge and made deep holes, hundreds of miles across. Of course, you steer clear of the rocky places. At last you see a lava lake below, the Sea of Tranquility. Get ready to land. As you descend, your craft shivers and shakes. It sails softly. You feel a bump. You are on the moon. Yay, they made it. You look through your first look will be disappointing. All you can see through the porthole is a cloud of dust stirred up by the landing. Put on your spacesuit and air tank while you wait for it to settle. Then open the hatch and jump out. You'll land lightly. The moon is smaller than the Earth and less gravity to pull you down. If you weigh 60 pounds on Earth, you'll weigh only 10 pounds on the moon. The first step will be difficult. You'll rise in the air and leap forward like a kangaroo. But once you learn how, walking will be fun. Each step takes about 5 times as far as a step on Earth. Leaping over boulders and craters, you cover the ground with magical swiftness. The moonscape is strange, but it doesn't look dangerous. The dust reminds you of cake flour. You wish you could take off your suit and play in it. Don't do it. The heat of the sun would burn you up. Because there's no air or water on the moon, there are no clouds to shield it from the heat of the sun or the cold of the space. Anything touched by the sun is blistering hot. Anything in shadow is instantly cold. Without a spacesuit, you would sizzle or freeze. As you walk, you will notice that your boots don't crunch on the pebbles. If you take a hammer and hit a rock, there's no bang. It is possible to make noise on the moon. It is impossible to make noise on the moon. Without air to carry sound waves, you can't hear a bell ring. You can't hear a horn blow. You can't hear a whistle or a song on the moon. If you kick a pebble, it will bounce without a sound. As you keep walking, the silence and stillness are eerie. Nothing moves. The boulders and hills have strange shapes. Some hills look like dinosaurs. Some boulders look like giant turtles, or weird birds, or a herd of cows. A heap of jagged rocks looks like a ruined castle. You feel as though you might be in a fairy tale, or is it a dream? Your map tells you that the astronaut camp is just over the hill. As you climb, you wonder if things will look any different on the other side. Will you find something green? Something alive? A meadow of moon grass, whatever moon grass is. A herd of moon cows, whatever moon cows are. The answer is no. The hills stretch on and on to the horizon where the rim of the moon meets the blackness of space. Everything on the moon is lifeless and still. Just look like very simple, silvery darkness. To find the astronauts' camp, climb to the top of the boulder and use your binoculars to scan the distance. Look for a patch of color, the red, white, and blue of the flag that the astronauts left behind. It will stand out against the gray dust. As you get close to the camp, you'll see everything the astronauts left behind. Strewn amidst the lunar dust, tools and equipment are scattered about. Their boot prints look fresh, as though they were made a moment ago. There is no wind or rain to wear them away. The astronauts left a message for anyone who visits the moon. You'll find it written on a plaque. Here men from the planet of Earth first set foot on the moon, July 1969. But the flag they planted isn't flying. The flagpole was blown over from the blast when the astronauts took over, and the flag is lying in the dust. You pick it up and push it deep into the sand. The flag is stiffened with wire so that it looks like as though it is flying even though there is no wind. It is brave and wonderful sight and reminds you of the courage of the astronaut who first brought it there. If astronauts ever return, they will find the flag flying once again as your footprints in the dust. By now your tank of air must be half empty. It's time to return to your ship. Your trail of footprints will lead you back. You retrace your steps in leaps and bounds. When you see your spacecraft waiting, you are suddenly terribly homesick. You can't wait to get back to Earth. Take a last look at the moonscape, get aboard, close the hatch, and pray that the computers will start. You push buttons, lights flicker, machinery whirls, rockets fire, your ship lifts off. Your heart lifts too, but you have thousands of miles to travel. You just have to be patient. Whenever you feel discouraged, look through your porthole. You'll see a beautiful sight, Earth surrounded by stars, shining like a blue and white ball on a Christmas tree. The nearer you get to Earth, the more wonderful Earth will seem. Finally, you are close enough to see the continents and the oceans. You can see clouds and rain and wind moving across them, connecting everything on Earth. As you look down at the ocean, you think of all the animals that live there. Fish and whales and seals, turtles, dolphins, soaring seabirds, and countless more. You can see the snow cap on the North Pole and imagine great white bears wandering over the ice floes. You can see Earth's marvel variety, green forests and grassy plains, mountains, lakes, and deserts that are home to animals, plants, and people too. Why is Earth so different from the moon? Earth has air and water on which all life depends. Without them, Earth would be as lifeless as the moon. Air and water are Earth's special blessings. We must guard them well. That's important to remember that. Your trip is almost over. Your ship has reached the atmosphere. You drop down through the clouds and land on green grass. You jump out, thankful for a miraculous journey and a safe return. You're back on Earth now. As you bend down to kiss the ground, you promise you will always do your best to protect all life on our beautiful Earth. And that's the story. And it's a beautiful story to think about the Earth and what we have on it. And we've got to protect it. We must do everything that we can do to protect it. And that's the story I wanted to bring to you today. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next year. Thank you.
All you gotta do is read a book.